Good day, third year students. Today I am going to start with the very famous fragmented poem Kubla Khan, A Vision in a Dream by S.T. Coleridge. In the previous class, I have already discussed with you the background of the poem, but for your better understanding, let me remind you once again. Kubla Khan was the grandson of Mongolian Emperor Genghis Khan, whom we also call and better know as Genghis Khan. And Coleridge was reading a book describing Xanadu, the summer capital of Kubla Khan, before he fell asleep under the influence of opium. In his dream, he saw a vision about Kubla Khan and his grand palace in Xanadu, and when he woke up, he started to write about this dream. So, the book about Kubla Khan and Xanadu was the immediate source of his dream, and later on for the poem. Now let us read and see how does he describe his dream in the poem. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Elf, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to men down to a sunless sea. In Xanadu, the summer capital of Kubla Khan ordered a stately pleasure dome decree. Kubla Khan ordered to build a stately, a grand and a majestic palace to be built for him in his summer capital, Xanadu, where Elf, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to men down to a sunless sea. And in Xanadu, the sacred river, the holy river Elf, ran through caverns measureless to men. Caverns means caves. So this holy river Elf flowed through some very deep caves. Some caves that were measureless, that are unknowable, that are unfathomable to man, and ultimately this river fell down to a sunless sea. Fell into a dark, sunless sea. Remember, the geographical details Coleridge is here giving is all the product of his imagination. This is all imaginary, like a sunless sea, which is not possible. So the landscape is the product of Coleridge's rich imagination. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with walls and towers were girdled round, and there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree, and here were forests ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground. Twice 5 miles precisely means a measure of 10 miles. So 10 miles of fertile ground on which this palace was built, with walls and towers were girdled round. So 10 miles of fertile ground was girdled, means surrounded. So this palace was surrounded with walls and towers. He is describing how the palace is secured by walls and towers. And there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And there were also beautiful gardens, bright with sinuous rills. Sinuous rills means a twisty, a winding stream, a stream that flows in a zigzag manner, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And at this place grows trees with incense. Incense means sweet-smelling flowers. So there were trees laden with sweet-smelling flowers. And here were forests as ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. And here were the forests, woods, as old as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. So this image shows enfolding sunny spots of greenery. In a dense forest, sunlight hardly can enter, but when it does, it creates a pattern of small patches of light on ground while passing through the trees. So these are the enfolding sunny spots of greenery in these dense woods, forests. So this is a palace on the banks of sacred river Elf, and this is well guarded by walls and towers, and it is a beautiful place, all covered in garden and flowers on trees. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green athwart a cedron cover. A savage place, as holy and enchanted as ever beneath a waning moon was haunted by a woman wailing for her demon lover. Xanadu is located in a valley surrounded with hills, and the river Elf falls down the side of one of these hills, cutting a deep romantic chasm. Chasm means a rift, a gulf, and it is romantic means it is very fascinating. So the river Elf causes a gulf through it, and down the green hill athwart a cedron cover. Athwart means side by side, and cedron is cover means this entire hillside is covered with cedar trees. So this gulf is across a wood of cedar trees, side to side, and the entire hillside is covered in cedar trees. A savage place, as holy and enchanted as ever beneath a waning moon was haunted. Now, the speaker wants us to imagine a woman, by a woman wailing for her demon lover. The speaker, Coleridge, wants us to imagine a woman or a ghost of a woman who is haunting this place, as holy and enchanted as ever beneath a waning moon was haunted. Waning moon means a moon that is not bright and it is small in size. So a woman who under the waning moon is crying, wailing. Wailing means is crying for her demon lover. Now this image adds up to the mystery of this place. Until now we were talking about gardens and beautiful trees, but now Coleridge talks about a woman wailing for a demon lover. This is a haunted place also, and these lines creates a supernatural setting of the poem. And from this chasm, with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast thick pants were breathing. And from this chasm, this rift, this gulf, with ceaseless means continuous, without any stopping. Turmoil means disturbance. Seething means someone who is angry. As if this earth in fast thick pants were breathing. And the chasm about which we talk about in the previous lines, from this chasm, this gulf made by the river Elf, a mighty forceful fountain sprang forth. A mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half intermittent burst huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail. A mighty forceful fountain sprang forth as if the earth was taking fast thick pants, as if earth was taking deep heavy breaths out of anger. Seething means angry, as if earth was angry. The rushing water of the fountain becomes the sound of fast thick pants, amid whose swift half intermittent burst huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail. So with the great force of water, the fountain of the river, the huge fragments of rocks are bouncing off like hailstones, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. Amid these dancing rocks, at once and ever, it flung up momently the sacred river, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. And what else this scene looks like? Coleridge gives another image here. And he says, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. It looks like when a thresher thrashes the grain to remove the chaff from it. So the bouncing fragments of rocks creates the image of a thresher with a flail. Flail means the instrument by which a thresher thrashes the grain. And mid these dancing rocks at once and ever, it flung up momently this sacred river. The river elf flunks up now and then between these dancing rocks, between this bouncing of rocks. So all these images and descriptions by Coleridge are really intense in nature. Remember, the poem is a product of a vision, a dream. So just as there is no unity, no logic in the scenes of a dream, in the same way, this poem follows no definite pattern of images. 1 minute the poet is talking about the gardens and trees, and the next minute he talks about haunted places with a women ghost, and water flowing with full force, creating a turmoil. But all these images are the proof of Coleridge's extraordinary talent of fanciful imagination. So let us stop here. We will resume reading this poem in the next class. Thank you.